Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. So this week we are going to be talking about the 5 absolute worst foods for you if you are going through eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, acne or any other inflammatory skin problem. Now, if you are actively going through any of these problems right now and you're trying to heal it, trying to cure it with diet and lifestyle, I would say you want to pretty much cut out all of these things altogether and completely from your diet. Now, if you're like me and you're just kind of managing your condition, your skin is pretty good right now, these are still going to be things that you want to keep an eye on pretty much for the rest of your life. I know, life is hard. But that's kind of why I wanted to make a video about this week, because I kind of need a bit of a reminder myself. So you saw my what I eat in a day video last week and you saw I am sort of slipping back into some old habits. And I know from experience 2 years ago that if I get too careless with these things, my eczema comes back with a vengeance. Now, when it comes to diet and food and things like that, it is going to vary from individual to individual. So if there is anything in this list, there might be 1 or 2 things that you disagree with or that you're totally fine with, by all means, go crazy on it. But I would pretty confidently say that the 5 things I am going to talk about are pretty uncontroversial when it comes to how they affect your skin. But before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you hit the little like button, and if you want to see more videos about skin, hair or health, then I highly suggest that you subscribe. But for now, let's get on with the video. So the number 1 thing on the list is sugar. Now, I love sugar. I have such a sweet tooth, but my God, it is so bad for your skin. And why is it so bad for your skin? Is because it creates inflammation in your body. Now, if you have any of the disorders that we've talked about previously, then you have inflammation in your body, in your skin. Now, you do not want to be adding to that through your diet, through lots of sugar. So they have actually shown that people who have high sugar diets, they have higher levels of inflammatory markers, specifically something called C-reactive protein, if that's interesting for you. And on the flip side, they've done it the opposite way, where they've got a group of people, then they reduce the sugar in their diet, and they see that actually their inflammatory markers reduce after they've changed their diets. So I do have a whole other video dedicated to sugar and your skin, so I'll link that up here if you are interested in that. Now, for me personally, if I eat too much sugar or I overload on it, which happens a bit more often than I'd like to admit, I can definitely start to feel it within just a few hours. So for me, my skin, where I have eczema or where I am prone to getting eczema, that's where I start to feel it getting a bit tingly. It usually gets a little bit red. I get that urge to start scratching it, even if the skin there has been totally fine and it's not broken or anything. Sometimes it can start to flake, especially around my lips. And then I know I had to scale back on the sugar for like a whole 24 hours just to kind of get that under control. And that includes not even having too many sugary fruits and things. Now on fruit, I would say that fruit is also treated exactly the same as any other sugar in your body if you overdo it and if you have it in a certain form, i.e. in smoothies and juices, which are very quick release. There's none of that fiber which kind of buffers some of the absorption. It will be treated like sugar, just like sugar from cake or anything else in your body. So you really want to be careful with that. I was very much bought into the idea that smoothies and fruit juices and things like that were going to be so good for me because yes, of course they have the vitamins, but they also have the sugar and they are going to make your skin itch. So yeah, very sad. I know sugar is great, it's delicious, but also very bad for people like us. Now, the second thing on my list, which is also something that people hate me for, is coffee. Now, why is coffee so bad for your skin? It isn't the coffee per se, but it is a very strong hit of caffeine, and caffeine actually raises cortisol in your body, which is the stress hormone. And as we all know, stress is probably one of the biggest things that negatively impacts our skin. If you're currently going through a skin issue, then your skin is going to be very sensitive to stress. And of course, caffeine does, even in small amounts, disrupt your sleep. Sleep is super important for your healing, natural healing mechanisms. And we want to do everything we can to essentially support our body's own natural healing functions. And caffeine definitely doesn't do this. So third thing on my list is dairy. Now, dairy is a little bit controversial because the jury is definitely out when it comes to the direct link between consumption of dairy and skin issues. Because a lot of the times when they do these studies, they ask people to cut out dairy products, and a lot of the dairy products that they cut out are things like sugary yogurts and ice creams and things that have a lot of sugar and other stuff in them. So it's hard to say whether or not it is the actual dairy in and of itself. But what we do know about dairy is that dairy, in its purest form, will still have a lot of natural sugars in the form of lactose. And as we know, if we are people with skin issues, we do want to be avoiding and reducing sugar as much as we can. On top of that, a lot of your standard dairy products that you find in supermarkets, they often have hormones and growth factors and things like other nasty things added to them, which I swear just can't be very good for you. So the fourth thing on my list is fried foods, and specifically deep fried foods. So why are deep fried foods so bad for you? It's for two reasons. The first one is that they are often deep fried in lots of vegetable oils, which again creates a lot of inflammation in your body. Vegetable oil at that high temperature becomes very unstable, releases a lot of free radicals in your body, and really just not stuff you want to be ingesting at all. So the second thing about fried foods is that invariably they have a lot of salt on them, and salt has actually been shown to exacerbate allergic reactions in people who have allergic dispositions. So for me personally, I've noticed that since I've arrived in Asia, there does seem to be quite a lot of fried food around me. Sometimes when I order something in a restaurant, I don't really know what it is. It comes out and it's fried. And this is something I really do need to be a bit careful with, because it's really not good for someone like me. The fifth and final thing on my list is refined carbohydrates. And when I say refined carbohydrates, I basically mean anything where the predominant and main ingredient is white flour. So things like white bread, cakes, biscuits, white crackers, all these really yummy, delicious things that unfortunately are not so good for you. So why are these not so good for you? Is because white flour, again, it is treated and processed just like sugar in your body. And for that reason, same as the sugar in its purest form, it does increase inflammation. And like we said before, inflammation is something that we do want to avoid if we have inflammatory skin issues. So that was my list for 5 worst things for people with inflammatory skin problems. Now, you might think that I missed out a few. Maybe you're thinking I could have included soy or gluten or eggs. Now, these things I would say vary very much from person to person, but I would say that the things that I've spoken about today are pretty common for most people. If you think I left anything else out, please do mention it in the comment section down below. It's really helpful and useful for other people who are going through skin problems to hear from other people's experience. So definitely do share your stories down below. And if you like this video, please do give it a like and please subscribe. And I'll see you again very soon for another video.